virtually, so pretty exciting. So hopefully you'll have a chance to log in and we'll record it and you can send other people to it if they need questions asked, that kind of stuff. So um, we can keep going and do these in the future virtually as well if you like them. It's a good way to get out good information. I'm standing in my office, and so I'll have hopefully you have your popcorn and your glass of water, and you can get caught up on the latest from Deer Valley. I'm before I start too. I usually do these like coffee shop or uh, at a school or something like that, and so I usually start out with a little history about myself, so people can get a little context because it helps understand where I come from and what I believe in, that kind of stuff. So I'll go back a little bit, just take a couple minutes to do that. I was originally born in Minnesota, rural Minnesota, and then grew up in Alaska. My parents went to Alaska, grew up in rural Alaska my full life. Little place called Glen Allen. Then went to college in Seattle, became a math major, high school math major, and English language arts minor, with the theory that I could get a job right out of school, and that worked. Went to worked in Alaska, the place where the Deadliest Catch show is shot. I went there as a teacher, middle school and high school math and language arts teacher. Then along this journey, got married to a Michigan girl. So after 5 years in Alaska, I went to Michigan as an administrator. So I went, became a middle school administrator in Michigan, then a high school administrator, and then became a superintendent eventually for 18 years in Michigan. And then we moved this direction. My mother lives in Apache Junction, so that's what brought us this direction. This is my 6th year as a superintendent here in Deer Valley. So this is my 24th year as superintendent. So I've done it for a couple of years, and it's the good thing about it is you have a lot of history. You can go back and remind yourself how the journey has went. But the interesting part about it, and another interesting part about the job, is it gets more challenging every year. It doesn't matter how many years you've been doing it. So in Michigan politics, we're similar to Arizona, but Arizona is, I think, next level up. So I've been learning a lot while I'm here. So just a reminder that I mentioned those latecomers that just logged on. We're going to record this. We'll post it in the next couple of days, maybe on the superintendent's page. So you can go to our dvsd.org and look under superintendent's page, and it'll be hiding there if you want to watch it again. And again, if you ever need anything, continue to email us, and you can email me at superintendent at dvsd.org if you need information, and I can direct it to the right person. We have a lot of experts in our machine because since I've worked in small rural districts over the years, and then in a larger system in Michigan, I've been always fascinated at the depth and breadth of Deer Valley. We have a machine here that is very, very knowledgeable, very cutting edge, making a difference with kids. So we have the resources. We're 33,000 students, 40 schools with 2 online schools, 4,000 employees. It's a big organization. So a lot of opportunities for kids. And we run all the way from New River down to Bell. A lot of people don't know. They just know about their little school where they're at. But we have a lot of schools in our system and some great employees. And again, the secret is our employees. So thanks again to parents and staff that send in your questions. We have dozens, more than I can answer. So we started grouping some of them together so we can knock out as many as we can. And again, we'll have more conversations with Curt down the trail. So we'll be answering those questions there, or at the board meetings and that kind of stuff, or through email, etc. So thanks again for sending in your questions. Appreciate it. So I'll get to many as I can, and we'll see how it goes in our new format here. Hopefully you can hear well and see what's going on. So I'm gonna start with my first one. This is from a parent. what are we doing to remain competitive academically at Deer Valley? And that's a good question. There, I like to think about that we're one of the leaders in the state. So we have a lot. And again, I don't look at one data point. I look at many data points to come to that conclusion. But we want to be, as with the book Good to Great speaks, good is the enemy of great. We want to continue to improve. So we're never settling at where we're at. We want to continue to have continuous improvement, I believe is the term we use. But 92% of our schools are A or B rated out of our 40 schools. We have the most A+ School of Excellence schools, the highest percentage of our peers. And that's an outside agency that grades those. That's nice. And we have a lot of students that scored really well this last round on the state test. About 80% of our schools have at least one student who had the highest possible scale score on our test in language arts or math. We had over 400 students who got both right, both perfect scores on the math and ELA. So you can definitely have opportunity here at Deer Valley. So 400 students with perfect assessments across this district, and about 18 had perfect on both, I think is what the proper term is. One thing that I think we're really good at, and I think again is a secret, is our PD, our professional development. That's really the secret sauce here at Deer Valley. We pride ourselves in having quality PD, because we think if we invest into our teachers, into our system, that's how we get our information out, and collaboration is the secret to our success. As you know, on Fridays, we have the professional learning communities, and those are designed to put teachers and staff together. And that's where we focus on essential standards and break it down so students can come in, find out where they're at, what they know, what they're missing. And that's all guided by our teams. And so it's something we're pretty proud of. And so the answer to the question is, we are a leader, if not the state leader in academics. We're right up there, definitely unified and large. We give our peers a run for our money, for their money. And so I'm pretty proud of our system, but we can never rest. We want to continue to strive together and do more. We just finished our strategic plan, which will set us on a similar path that we've had so far. Just finished it. I believe it's on the webpage, dvusd.org/strategic plan, if you want to check it out. And we hire around that and promote around that as well. So again, collaboration is the key to our success. That's it. Next question is from all kinds of different parents, and it says, why has the district decided to adopt standard-based grading, and is the district considering returning to traditional grading system? Well, this one would, the answer to this would take more than the time we have. So I'm going to do the 10,000 foot level. But I think if you're really interested in the topic and want to learn more, there's a bunch of presentations on the board docs on our webpage. So if you went to dvusd.org and then you clicked on the governing board page, then click on board docs, you can search in there for standard-based grading. You'll pick up a lot of hits on the topic. And you can even, if you really want to watch a ton, you could actually go to the live streams on those same dates and watch them live and watch the discussion and the different concerns that are brought up and the pluses and the minuses. So that is available online for you. So not a problem to go view that. So if you want to get caught up on all the different nuances of it. But in general, the reason why we are headed this way, there are a couple. One is to removing academic behavior, or moving behavior from the academic grade. One way to look at it is, I get emails periodically. It's even been discussed at the board level in the board meetings that I need I don't know, call it a stick. I need something to motivate these kids to get this, to get that. And I think that's the wrong premise. It's if a kid sees a 91, they'll work harder to get a 92. And then once they get the 92, which is an A or whatever, that will that's what motivates them. And that's the wrong motivation. The motivation should be the learning. And so not the grade. Um, yes, there is some argument for, well, I'm going to miss this scholarship or that scholarship. But if we're going to be lifelong learners, we can't be learners that just go for the grade and forget the material. It's all about learning. It's all about learning. And the difference with this standard-based mindset, I believe, is it puts the responsibility on the learner versus on the teacher. So we've been working on this for over a decade. I know Goldwater at the IB program, they've been using it for years. We've just recently picked up more steam in the last 2 or 3 years on as far as professional development, training, learning. I think we put a committee together of over 100 people, parents, teachers, et cetera, back in 2017, I think. And that's when we started all the discussion about it, 2018. That grading and reporting committee did a lot on where we should go. That was kind of when we decided to start focusing on a little more. We brought in some experts from around the country and then started breaking it down into parts and to do a slow roll on it. Just we wanted to make sure that the campuses were ready rather than forcing it down the whole district at once. So we went to the angle of relying on our principals and our teachers to let us know when they're ready after they read the materials, the different books that we've been putting out there, getting the right kind of professional development. We had professional development over the summers a couple different times. Hundreds of teachers came in to get that. So it's been a long road here, but we picked up more energy probably in the last couple of years, and that's why you're hearing more about it. But it's really about the versus when you used to get a percentage. That's the one everybody's familiar with, and so I can see the angst. But the problem with the percentage, there are many problems with the percentage, and you can Google that. You want to learn more, but in general, it doesn't really tell you much. And so the different approach is to the standard. So we break it into parts so the student knows where they're at. And when it's run well, then the student knows what they need to master. So it's all about the learning, not about the score. And so, if I could go on and on about that. But and again, you can watch more presentations on the nuts and bolts of it. But I think we are headed in the right direction in this department. It is going to take a while. As you know, in July of 22, the board changed, kind of adapted the grading scale from the 1 to 4 to bring in the ADF letter idea that we used to have, kind of a hybrid, maybe that's the right word. And so we're working on that as well to change that and have done that. And I guess the next step is, I don't know if you watched the last school board meeting, but we are going to continue to have study sessions on it, more training, more learning, and then make decisions on where the final resting spot will be for our system. Where are we going to settle on how this, keeping the grading mindset, but messing around with the traditional grading system versus the percentage versus the numbers, etc. I predict, I hope that we listen to the experts, the research and the experts, and including those on my team, that we'll find a compromise in the middle somewhere where everybody gets a piece of the pie and understands where their role fits in it. We are collecting our own data. We hear a lot of arguments or points made by the public that, well, I heard it's not in my school yet, but I heard that it was in this school and it isn't going well, or it's going well, or so I'm really leaning on the people that are actually doing it. What is the data that we're learning? What's the performance of the students? Those kinds of things. So it's the data so far has been encouraging, but again, we're still pretty young in it from a depth perspective. And so we'll be collecting more data so the board and my teams can make good decisions going forward. So that's the short version to a 4-hour answer on that one. Again, if you want to watch more of the presentations on this topic, they're available on the website under the board. Go to the governing board page, and then to the board docs, click on that, enter standard-based grading. You'll get more than you probably want or need, but all of it is there. You can learn a ton about how we're doing it and why. But I believe in my heart of hearts, it's about changing from the teacher being responsible for the learning to the student being responsible for the learning, and that the student will then know where they are at, and they can explain where they're at when it's fully implemented and we know what we're doing. And so little by little, we're growing, we're getting smarter, we're adapting, and it's going pretty well. I think overall, the ones that are actually doing it, but obviously a machine with 4,000 employees, it takes a while to bring change of this magnitude to our system. So I want to thank those teachers that are learning and are trying to figure it out and communicating with each other, communicating with the district office, and it's getting better every day. So I'm looking forward to us growing as a district. If we're going to be on the cutting edge of what's the future, we need to be out in front, making a difference for kids, because it's all about the kids. I know everybody was freaked out when the calculator came into the math classroom and said, no, that's going to totally ruin math. Well, it's the new normal. And same with iPads and Chromebooks. Everybody was worried that it was going to mess with the learning. But in the end, we adapted. That's what we're good at. That's what humans are good at. So hopefully this will work out well with a little compromise down the road, but I think we're headed on the right path. Okay, next question. Look here, it's on a Google Docs for me. Why is Deer Valley starting school late in July next year? How's the DUSD school year calendar developed? Is DUSD moving toward a year-round calendar? And there's kind of like 3 questions there. It probably came from 20 questions. The short answer is we are not interested in a year-round calendar. I think the proper term for us and for you is called modified year-round calendar. And really the premise, maybe the right word for its success, it's built on the concept of interventions and trying to make up for learning loss. As you know, the research is overwhelming about summer learning loss. That is not news to you probably, I'm assuming. Anytime you have longer gaps in school, over 2 weeks, the research says it's tougher and tougher on kids and makes it harder. Obviously, the only reason we had the big summer break was from 100 years ago when the kids helped out bringing the crops in. And we don't do that today. So we've been in this agrarian calendar now for 100 years. And so we believe that if we put smaller breaks in the system, in the calendar, it will actually give opportunity for the kids to get caught up that are behind, and provide more opportunities for those kids that want to excel. And if it's throughout the school year, it also helps with a recharge of my staff and students to hit the ground running faster. As we know, every time kids come back from a break, they are rolling and they can't wait for school. And so that was true when I was a kid, and that's true today. So those are the main reasons why we're headed this direction. But we have a calendar committee, has parents on it, teachers on it. has lots of folks on it, and they work on it and usually try to give us a year or two out beyond the next year, so we can plan ahead and see into the future a little bit where we're headed. So, but that actually is presented to the board, and then the board makes a decision. Sometimes they tweak it, sometimes they keep it, sometimes they're given options, A, B, C, and we do surveys. There's a lot of different ways we do it, but in general, it's a concept of breaks in the system for a learning loss and for recovery and acceleration for students. There are other school districts in our state that have the same type of calendar. Probably the biggest one, is Chandler. They've been doing it forever, I think 15 or 20 years. Higley, Queen Creek, Vale does it. Maricopa and Gilbert does it. And I think K Creek just started last year. So that modified year-round calendar is gaining steam throughout the state. And it's done in other states as well. But again, the school board is the one that makes the final decision on that. Okay, question from parents and staff members. How has TSMC impacted our district? Will we see growth in our district as a result? Will support begin to the students and schools with the influx of students arriving from Taiwan and some from families supporting TSMC? Wow, that's another four questions in one. That one, there's a couple different directions I could go. First, it is exciting that the company is coming to our neighborhood. As you drive up the freeway, up 17 there, I think there are 36 cranes putting it up today. And I went there for the first tool-in ceremony where the President of the United States and some senators and bigwigs came and announced they're going to double their efforts. They were going to do $16 billion in one plant, and now they're doing $40 billion investment in two plants. So it's already doubled in size, over double in size in just a matter of months. So they see this as a great spot to be. And since I think one of the issues that a lot of the neighbors were asking was related to water. Well, it turns out they are running one of the most highly efficient water systems in the world, and they plan to recycle their water. So obviously they like the fact that there's no earthquakes and that kind of disaster that we have around the country. They believe Arizona is the #1 spot for sunshine, and it's the #1 spot for no disasters. And so that probably has a lot to do with why they want to be here. Obviously, the business environment's plus as well. And hopefully they want to be by Deer Valley too. Who knows? We did our pitch 3 years ago and they said they're coming. So it's pretty exciting. So what about the 300 students that have already arrived that are in 21 of our schools, I believe? We philosophically, it appears a lot of the parents want more of an immersion with their students. But from our perspective, from the educator perspective, we want to make sure that we are, that they're understanding quick, that we are adapting to them and making them feel welcome. Just think about what it would be like for you if you got dropped off in Taiwan and went to school on, next Monday. That would be a shock if you didn't know English or if you didn't know Mandarin. You just knew English. So that's kind of what those students are going through. And so obviously there's different variations. They do study English, obviously in Taiwan. So a lot of the students come with partial English or full English, depending on their age. But in general, we adapt. We will be adapting to their needs as much as possible to obviously accelerate their learning in English. There's different ways we can help. And this happens actually all the time in a big system like this. We get students really from all around the world, and we'll continue to expand that as there are 40 companies, I believe, that feed TSMC that are coming again around the whole world. And so we will have to be adapting to those students as well. So we will continue to do the same rigorous instruction that helps us win all of our awards. We'll just have to customize and help out to get the learners, the Taiwanese learners, up to speed ASAP. So that's what we're good at anyway. So we have our English department working on it, our English language department working on it, our early childhood, community ed, communication works with a lot with TMC folks as well. So that's one of the beauties of having a big machine like Deer Valley. We have the resources to help these kids get up to speed quick and integrate them, and then obviously celebrate their culture and honor some of their traditions as well. So I don't know if you saw last night and the night before, both of our Mandarin programs had a celebration of the lunar holiday. I believe it's the Year of the Rabbit, if I'm correct. And so that actually happened last night. I saw it on Twitter, is what made me think of it. As you know, I'm on Twitter as well. You can follow me at Dr. Finch DVUSD. I'll plug, shameless plug there. But they had some of the dragon dances and stuff last night I saw on social media. So I think that answered most of that question. Here's another one. With it doesn't say where this one came from, but with the population explosion in recent years, are there plans to build new elementaries or high schools in the near future? Wow, there's another tough one to answer in a short amount of time. In general, that's actually one of my jobs, is to predict the future. And it's getting harder and harder to do that. But what happens in my line of work, the secret to success in this department is staying in tune with the people that know. So in my case, this would be the legislature, this would be the governor, this would be the big businesses like TSMC, their construction pace, the state land department, the city, etc. So what you do is you put all those variables together with your enrollment projections by our demographer, and often they are not correct, because I've looked at old demographers' report, but it's their best guess. So my job is to take all these parts and put them together and try to get the right timing, because it takes about 3 to 5 years to get a bond formed, get it to the board. The board has to put it on the ballot, has to be voted, then it has to be drawn, then it has to be built. So if it's a high school, high schools take obviously a lot longer than elementaries. But in general, the concept is that you have to put all those variables together, correctly guess related to the economy, when is the expansion going to be needed. So and often the plant or the people move in to the spot where you don't need them. That's pretty common. That was common in Michigan and common in Arizona. So they don't go to the spot where you maybe have a school that's more down in enrollment. They all move to this one. I don't know if you've read the book The Influencer, but that's where that comes from. It's people that are making choices and they bring others. It's very common human behavior. So we are trying to correctly guess where they're going to build and correctly guess where they're going to move these new folks that are moving into our zone. As you know, Maricopa County is one of the fastest growing counties in the nation, and Arizona's in the top 3 for incoming. So it's not if they're coming, it's what pace. And as the Taiwanese company gets their project done, that will have a reverberating effect, and as these other companies move in as well. But one variable that is really tough to predict is the state land authority. They tell us they're going to sell it at this window, and then it doesn't happen. Maybe the economy hits a bump, like inflation, for example. A national can also impact state. And so we meet with them periodically and ask them at what pace they're doing the selling, and then what kind of buyers they have, or do they have big buyers, small buyers, and what pace they think it's going to grow. So The short answer for this, if I was going to summate it, yes, we will be building new elementaries and a new high school down the road somewhere. We just have to. There will be, I talked to Chris Mackey, who's one of the experts down at in working with the city, and she said there will be about 10,000 kids that will come out of that zone in the next decade. So obviously I don't have room for those kids at the moment. So, so the short answer is yes, we will need it. And the question will be when and at what pace. So what I'll probably be doing is bring to the board 3 options and give them my best guess. And on now, or maybe big, we don't really know. So, but that's in the works right now. We're working on that, but it has to be done pretty soon. So we have to start making those decisions because obviously I was talking earlier about the pace of of how stuff happens. So keep an eyeball on that, and you'll probably see it in a future board meeting before the end of the school year. We're definitely going to have to do something to start this rolling. Question, moving on, question from a parent. What is the command? Who is the chain of command above you? Are you the highest person in the district? Is another one. There was another question about board member behavior and or action. Is there anything I can do about it? I get this question a lot at my conversations with Curt. It's not a new question. Actually, all 3 of those are common questions that I get. The short answer for the first one, the chain of command above me, is the board, those 5 elected officials from the community. But they are not really a board until they're sitting together at a board meeting and making decisions. So the action that you see out there at a board meeting is where they become a governing board and do things in that format. If you see them in the community, you might ask them a question, say, what about this? What about that? They can give you, usually they'll probably direct you to someone in the machine, or they'll say, I'll bring that to the superintendent, that kind of thing. But they'll probably tell you, I'm not the one in charge of that. I don't do that, because in theory, they are, again, our board when they are together in the boardroom, and they really only have 1 employee, and that's me. And then the other 4,000 employees are mine. And so I direct all the work and that kind of stuff. Their main function is budget oversight and programming oversight. They obviously do board policies, and policies govern on how we operate. But really, the day-to-day, that kind of stuff is my job. So the chain of command is me for anything inside the machine. And then if there's something that they need to have done related to me, that's through the board. So yes, I am the highest person in the district. I'm the highest person until I get home, then I'm not. For some bizarre reason, I'm not the superintendent when I go home. And that hasn't been that way for 30 years. So not news there. The last part of your question, what about actions actions or behaviors by board members? They are their own private citizens, and again, their behavior. We have policies and recommendations and guidelines and ethics and that kind of stuff. Those, a lot of that is recommended, and it's not. There's nothing that can be enforced anyway on any of that. The only control that you would have as a parent or a citizen is at the ballot box. That's where those choices are made. So yes, you could try to recall someone. But that is really super difficult and costs about $100,000 to do it. And you would need to, there's a ton of work related to it. I think in the history of Arizona, I think only one's ever been recalled. So the person to call, if you're interested in that, learning about the history of that and the politics behind it, is Steve Watson at the Maricopa County Superintendent's Office. He knows a lot about that. And I often direct people to that when they ask me that question, because again, it's your choices are made at the ballot box, and then you live with your choices until the next round. So, and elections have consequences. And so I have no control over board action or no control over board behavior, board member behavior. That's all their own behavior. They're accountable to themselves. So you can always email them if you don't like something that they do or something that they've done. Even as a board, you can email them, and that's on our webpage as well. On the governing board page, there are email addresses. And you can help with solutions there too as well, things you see in the district, etc. And they get, I'm sure they get hundreds of emails. So, and they're pretty busy folks as well. Most of them have day job, and so they try to get as much done as they can. But it's a big job in Deer Valley. We're a big district. So really the answer to this question is, I have no control over the board, period. End of the discussion. Here's one here. Question from some parents, I think there was a bunch of questions on this, and it was summarized this way: how does Deer Valley support the mental health of our students? Well, that's another 2-hour answer. The short answer is we do our best. We have wellness counselors, we have crisis counselors, we have partnership with Southwest Behavioral Health and with AZ Youth and Family. We're working on another one with Banner. But we try to get the pulse of the students, and that helps guide kind of how we approach it. As you know, we have many of your students are involved in separate programs that encourage students how to self-regulate. I think it's the right word, would be the right word, clinical word, because I can tell a student, stop this, stop that, don't do this, don't do that. But I make progress when the student can recognize the change in their behavior or change in their heart rate, etc. If they can recognize it and self-regulate, that's a skill that everyone needs to know, including adults. And so we do, our angle is more about how to help students understand what's going on in their minds, and how to self-regulate or self-teach or self-encourage, so you can get over that hump, whatever it is. Obviously, we encourage students to have partners with each other, or have friends that they can rely on, kids they can talk to, adults they can talk to, etc. Because the information is the number one protector of students' mental health and safety, period. We need to know when kids are struggling, because we can get help. We can't do, if it's beyond our level, it's more of a clinical level, then obviously we can refer and we can help you find resources, etc. But in general, my teams are more helping, help the students day to day, even in the classroom. But if there's a bigger issue, then obviously work together with parents and teachers and try to get the best help for your student. We can't give, we do give surveys, but they're really super controlled now by ARS 15117. So there's a lot of things we can't ask today. And so we keep our surveys pretty generic. We're looking for like safety, school climate, culture, that kind of stuff. So we can tweak a building if a kid doesn't feel connected to the school, but that's kind of how we approach it. But again, we have some great resources and contacts that we can get you hooked up with out in the community as well. So, but the number one way to stop or way to help your student is to keep in contact with the school. And we can do, there's a release form that you can get us to that helps us connect with outside resources for your student. And information is key. Information is a key for students to feel comfortable at school and comfortable in life as they grow. Because remember, all these kids are growing, and we want to be ready to help them when they're ready to learn, ready to get help. We have a crisis hotline as well, and I'll probably mention that later too. I think I saw another question on that later. Here's another one. This one's from a parent. And can you provide a high-level explanation of school safety measures that are in place at Deer Valley to reduce bullying, cyber concerns, and overall school safety? Oh yeah, this is similar to the question above. Um, as you know, we want to keep our students safe. That's the number one thing we work on, because if we're safe, then kids can learn, and the vice versa is not true, then they can't. So we do a system called the multi-tiered systems of support. MTSS is the acronym, and it's really focusing on promoting shared expectations for students. So everyone knows what is expected in a school, so you can learn. And we've been really focusing on that lately, just to make sure, especially after pre or post COVID, as the students had a rough time. Some students have a rough time in that environment. So we've been focusing on that a little bit more to make sure that students all know we're back in school. And this is what school looks like. And because when we have a similar system that's structured, and we have less bullying, less issues related to that, because everybody knows expectations. But cyberbullying is a tough one. Obviously, we control the kid or have access to the kid, the student half the time. The other part, he or she is out in the community, and so obviously parents have a major role in this area here, because they can tell us and keep us in the loop with the teacher or with their principal on issues that I might be dealing with, or things that they struggle with. So again, information is key in this scenario. As far as the buildings go, we have, in my opinion, very secure facilities. I came from Michigan and Alaska. I never knew what a block wall was. We had chain link fences everywhere. And I was fascinated when I pulled into Arizona, the number of block walls we have, and just how much more of a secure facilities we have than other places around the country. And again, I've traveled around the country and looked at that. But Arizona, I'm really proud of our facilities. We've had good community support for our bonds and overrides over the years, and that because of that, we have great facilities, which helps for a more secure environment. We have good gates, good electronics, good surveillance. Our last bond, we get to harden our offices a little better, better cameras, recording devices, all kinds of stuff we have now that we didn't have a decade ago. So that's been a plus as well. And obviously we practice a ton on the different arrangements out there that might happen. And so we work on those. We want to continue to do those and try to think of different scenarios and try to practice those as well. We have better radio systems, better cell phone systems, etc. So that helps too as well. We do have an anonymous alert. We're piloting at Boulder Creek this year. That's another place that we want students to report information, because information is the key. We have a Safe Schools Anonymous report too that you can fill out on our website. There's also the Safe Schools hotline. I think it's 623-376-3262, 376-3262. That's our Safe Schools hotline. And that's, again, it's just to gather information to help you. So you could maybe be asking also too about technology, since we're around technology. Yes, we have a bunch of different systems. We have a web content filter. We have a Google Safe Search. We have Safe Search on the web systems that they get on. But kids always keep us on our toes. We do our best. We're guided by federal dollars to lock down our systems. And so, but we don't have access to students 24/7. So we have to work together on that. So nothing ever is 100% effective against thousands of kids trying to find different ways around it. So, but again, your help there could be helpful. Another few things that we do, we actually have drug dogs that run around periodically throughout the school year, especially at our secondaries. um, trying to keep drugs and stuff off our campuses that shouldn't be there. They're very effective. And that spreads like wildfire when kids find out. So it seems to keep things off campuses, but in general, the best defense is family. The family needs to talk to kids about the harm of it and the impact of it. It's one thing if the school says that, but if we're not working together, then it finds its way. So know where your kid is at, know what they're up to. With today's technology, you can do a lot better than 20, 30 years ago when parents just guessed where Johnny went. And so now today you can do that. So information is our best tool on safety in all of these categories here. And again, if you see something, say something. That's the best thing for us. And we do have students that do that, and we want to thank them because usually it's a kid just crying out for help. And so if our friends can get to them first and can let us know, or you can let us know, we can get the help that student needs. And so because we want everybody to be safe. Here's another one. Question from a parent. What does the district plan for refreshing the classroom technology related to AV? Well, the good news is we are in the middle of that right now. Our 2019 bond, we actually had a section of that was dedicated to this, updating this technology. We have new digital touch displays coming in where I think we're about halfway. So I think hopefully by summertime, maybe by the end of summer, we'll get have all of those installed. And so, but if you're having issues, or teachers, if you're having issues on your other technology that's in there, if you don't have the latest and the greatest, that we do that through the help desk ticket in our machine. So, but to answer your question, they're on their way and we're about halfway done. As you remember, I have 1,800 teachers, so that's a lot of material to put up. So it takes us about a year to put it all up. And so maybe by the end of summer, we'll have that rolling. Keep an eyeball out for that. They're actually pretty cool. I've seen them and played with them. They're fancy. Like a big iPad on the wall. It's super neat. Here's another question from parents and staff members. And they put a bunch of them together, said, how is Deer Valley addressing the issues of staff shortages, and what steps are being taken towards recruiting the best staff for our district? That's another 30-minute answer I'm going to do in 4 minutes. We have a lot of different departments that work on this. My first commercial is that we have a job fair April 1st from 9 to 11 here at the district office. So that's an easy day to remember, and it's not a joke. It's going to happen 9 to 11 on April 1st. But I'm going to tell you the best tool for recruiting staff members is a great culture. It's a great place to work. And I think most of you know that Forbes ranked us the #1 best mid-sized public school employer in the nation. So we've been ranked in Arizona for 3 years, and then we picked up a national ranking this year, last year. And so, but that's the key. You gotta have a fun place to work first. If a good book to read if you want to learn more about this topic. There's two actually. Daniel Pink's book called Drive. It's kind of the predecessor to this latest book that I've been reading and sharing with the staff. It's called Primed to Perform. And it's really about why people work. So, and it really emphasizes that you need to have fun at work, you need to have purpose at work, and you need to feel like you're a contributor. And that those are really the secrets to continuing to get staff to come to your shop. And so if you have companies or you're running a companies, you might want to grab those two books and read them. They're really good. But one thing that we do have in our system is great purpose. So obviously we're changing the world, running an educational system. So one student at a time. But so culture is #1. And obviously the second one is to be competitive, salary wise, benefit wise, that kind of stuff. And so we continue to do that in the last 5, 6 years since I've been here. I think we've had about 31% increase for classified employees and about a 50% increase for certified. Um, so it's we've been really working on it over time, and there is one snag at the moment. We were given money, and you probably have heard about this. The aggregate expenditure limit was written in the 80s, and it's basically says we cannot spend the money that we just were given from the last budget. And so we've set up, we're ready to spend that as soon as the legislature fixes that, and that doomsday clock is ticking, and it needs to be fixed before March 1, February 28th is the last day. And if they don't fix that, then there will be devastating problems throughout all of Arizona. And so we've taken that money, set it aside. The NST has already met. Our negotiating solution team has already met. We've already divided it up and where it's going to go once the AEL is fixed. And the board has already voted on it. And so we are getting ready to come through the machine. When it does, we'll have 30 days. It'll take probably about a month to get it out to everyone in the machine, because it depends on when they pass it. Hopefully they'll pass it. That's something you can do as parents, is to continue to let your legislator know and the governor know that it's a real problem. It's a $47 million problem for Deer Valley, and it'll only get worse next year. So it's a 1.4 billion, I think 1.3 something billion problem for the state of Arizona. So if the legislature doesn't work together and get this done, it could have major problems. So with this, if and when the AEL gets passed, there'll be another for this year will be another about 40 on our classified employees. So it's all when it's coming. It'll be you can look at the that actual board meeting when we passed all that in, I think it was the last board meeting of the school year. So it's in December, probably the 15th one, from around in there, if my memory serves me right. But we're really kind of waiting for the AEL to be fixed. But we do collect surveys all year long in different formats. We have one big one at the end of the year related to culture and how you feel and how you're contributing and are you enjoying your job, that kind of stuff. And that shapes how we get ready to create an awesome environment for staff. And you probably have heard too, I try to get out to classrooms. Been doing it for the 6 years I've been here. I try to get out to 500 a year, usually Zoom past that, but that's where, again, we're having an opportunity to talk to staff and try to get to events, sporting events and concerts and et cetera, et cetera. That's where you hear and can talk to staff directly on how they're doing. But the best recruiting is word of mouth. Always is, always will be. We do the traditional websites, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that good stuff. But word of mouth is the best. If you're working here and you love it and you tell your neighbor, they are more likely to come here versus something they see online. So read those 2 books and you'll get some good ideas on why people actually work and how important culture is. I better speed up. We're running out of time. There's another one. I'd like to know, this is from a parent, why the elementary schools are inconsistent about allowing parents on campus to volunteer or have lunch. Some are closed and some don't allow parents. I would say it should be pretty standard throughout the district. Again, having 40 schools, it's a possibility that 1 or 2 or do something different, and it's probably by accident or someone didn't get the memo, or but obviously there may be variables too that are different from campus to campus. Maybe your access time is during a critical time when students are moving a bunch, or maybe lunchtime or not lunchtime, or traffic buildup. So they might have some specific rules for specific campuses that I do not know. But in general, we do allow access. If you're having, as long as they're, safety is our number 1 rule. So as long as it fits under that umbrella. So you could contact Julie Frank or Val Bullis at the district office if you think your campus is different than another one, and we can do some investigating, find out why. But in general, we allow pretty good access. And again, we're recovering, readjusting since the COVID days. And next one here, can we improve the nutritional quality of student meals? Can we offer better options? First, they're way better than I was a kid, if I remember correctly. We got whatever Mrs. Ware cooked. I don't think there were any regulations. Today, we are highly regulated on what we can offer. Has to meet all the dietary guidelines that are required from the federal government, because that's where we get our dollars, a lot of our dollars from, related to lunch. So it has to have fruits and vegetables and grains and whole grains and fat-free milk, all this trans fat, low sodium, that kind of saturated fat, all those things are highly regulated. So we have also dealt with shortage of staff and supply chain issues and manufacturer challenges, et cetera, et cetera. So that hasn't made our life any easier. But in general, I guess the answer is it's highly regulated and it comes down from the top. So we work the best in our parameters, the best we can do. And we have teams that work on this and vendors that work on this to make the meals awesome for kids. But in general, we're super duper highly regulated. If you want to know a bunch more, there's a Arizona Department of Health and Nutrition Services. You can get on there, click on it, and go under school meal menu requirements or something like that, and you can learn a ton about that. Running out of time. Question from another couple staff members. What is the status of the lump sum back pay that classified is supposed to receive? Will it happen February, March? Well, I kind of answered that one already. The short answer is we're waiting for the AEL to get fixed. We are ready to go. We're just waiting for the legislature to do their job. As we know, politics always waits till the last minute. So within 30 days of those guys figuring that out, we'll get it rolling out to you. Pretty exciting too. It's historic raises again. So it's good to keep us competitive in what we talked about earlier. Here's one. There have been warnings from pediatricians about screen time and the impact on children. Why do you feel it is important to have technology in classrooms? Well, there's a couple reasons. Digital literacy is new in the last, I'd say, decade, and so it's an integral part of how we teach and how we really reach kids. One of the major pluses is our stuff is a lot more current. Our curriculum is current. You can update technology. I mean, if you buy a book, she's stuck. That book is not being updated unless you want to buy a new one. The beauty of technology, when your curriculum is based in technology, then you can update it. So that's another major plus. And it's used in the workforce. And so the kids need to we don't teach them what to think. We just teach them how to think. We don't tell them this is what you need to do. We tell them this is how you put information together. That's how teaching has changed. Before the teacher knew all the answers. Now you can Google it. So why do we have teachers? Well, because we're teaching the kids how to integrate all this information and decide what is right, what's wrong, or what's the best, what did history dictate, etc. And so now you can, the teaching has turned more to guiding students because there's so much information that's available. And so how do students work together? All right. Well, I think I've ended up running out. I have some more questions, but I think I ran out of time. Just wanted to again thank you for logging in, and we received dozens of questions. We'll do this again probably in the same format because we can get to more people. Usually when I do these, I'll have 10 to 20 people in there, and this way we have more people this time. So and it can be recorded and we'll post it so you can pass it along. So we'll reach out further. I know we had over 100 that registered, but they are all about timing for everyone. But if we record it and post it, then you can pass it along so others can learn more about it. And again, stay tuned with our board meetings and our websites and our Instagram. I'm on Instagram as well, Dr. Finch DVSD, and then on Twitter, DVSD, Dr. Finch DVSD as well. So you can keep tabs on what we're doing. I try to post every day. We have a district one as well. So if you want to know what's going on there's a lot of resources out there for you. So once again, thanks for joining us today. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Only problem is I couldn't read the room. It's a little harder in this format, just talking to a box, but hopefully information was helpful. And again, as we learn more, we're learning more together. And we want to thank you for your help. And for the staff members that are on here, we want to say thank you for all you do, because you are what makes Deer Valley great. It's the people. Thanks again. Until next time. Thanks.